All right, we are now recorded. If you're watching this recording, this is SIG Docs, a community group within the Kubernetes project. We have 6 awesome people here today to give us some updates as to what they're doing and just talk to us about what's going on in the land of documentation, one of the most important lands that we have. And also, if there are any new contributors on the line, not right now, but in a second, you can feel free to introduce yourselves. If you want to introduce yourself anyway, even if this is your like 60th time, that's fine too. But let's go through some of the reminders this week. Who knows who is this week's PR Wrangler? Pop quiz. I'm going on to the wiki now. Let's see. It is August 3rd. I can't believe it is August already. Looks like Zach Arnold, which is a problem. Probably. Anybody that can fill in for PR Wrangler this week? If not, I will work that out with Jim and we'll get somebody on there. Anybody want to volunteer? Oh, guess what? I got cool swag too. So if anybody needs any, I look, Brad's
I
like,
was there. My hand was up before the swag request. I'm a good citizen.
Well, so hold on. Let me show you. Let me show you something I can send you. Okay.
Sure.
I think
You
Brad
had us at I have swag, so
It's like,
yeah, I think you might have this one already. Oh, hold on. This one's not open.
and a strange occurrence. We have 4 PR Wranglers.
Hold up. I got these.
Ah, those are really cool.
So what is it?
It's
Is it a ball?
It's a pool ball. It's a cue ball.
Cue ball.
Is there any
Cool.
way it can be a stress ball if you squeeze hard enough?
Well, no, I mean, maybe. So I've got this. So I got a cue ball. And then I can also,
Oh, she's sweetening the pot. Sweeten the deal.
I can also mail you out a patch. And what else can I do? Hold up, I've got the, oh, I do, but I have everything you have probably. Like I have some of the like the Pippi goes to like the adventure books and
Sure.
so yeah. Anyway.
Well, let me just be honest. I'm going to do this out of the goodness of my heart. I really don't need any of the swag. So I'm going to save you a trip to the post office. And I'll do a PR Wrangler this week.
Brad, you are a martyr. I'm kidding. All right. And then next week we've got Savitha. I don't think she's on the line right now, but I will DM her to make sure she's good there. And that's it for the reminders. Anybody else have any reminders or updates before we get into the agenda? All right, release. Hit us up with some goodness. I see some green action. But let's get an update.
yeah, it's good. I already froze the Kubernetes website repo, and currently I'm doing all the release process steps to prepare for tomorrow. There are a couple of things that I cannot do on my own. One of them is I need either someone to provide me access with to Netlify to be able to create this sort of subdomain for the snapshot for 121, or I need someone that has access to Netlify to do that for me.
In the past, Jim did that for me for 121. So ping Jim Angel, who has access to Netlify. And yeah.
And hold on, I'm actually taking a note for myself too to see if that's something I can help out Jim with too. Hold
on. And yeah, so tomorrow I need some approvals for merging some PRs, but I guess that doesn't necessarily need someone like a chair or a co-chair. I just need a docs lead basically to approve some PRs that I need to merge in order to sync the branches.
Brad,
I think
can that be you since you're wrangling?
What's that again? I'm sorry, I missed that.
There, I will need approval, review and review. Yeah, you could say review. I mean, check out the website if it's deployed properly, and approval on some pull requests that basically will merge, will keep in sync the main branch that we will do and the release 121 branch, which is basically the snapshot for the 121 docs.
Sure. Do you want to just, Slack me the actual PRs or the priority, and I'll be happy to take care of it.
Cool.
I assume we're not breaking anything in these PRs, right?
Technically, no. I'm not introducing any kind of new commits or anything, so it should be straightforward. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So there is a problem. I don't know if anyone on this call really can help me with this. Maybe I should ping someone else about it. But basically, there are two processes two processes that are defined in the handbook for generating the API references and so on. For kubectl, for the Kubernetes API reference, for a bunch of other stuff too. One of them I already did what it said there somehow and opened the pull request, but at the same time, it seems like there is also a second way of doing it, which is the new way. And I'm kind of conflicted because I don't really know which one needs to get merged. Don't know which one is the correct one. That's my biggest concern right now. Like that's something I don't really understand fully. But yeah, I think I have a couple of people that I can ping about that.
Yeah, probably Jim, right?
Jim and Feljoy, I don't know what his name is, but his GitHub username is Feljoy. He basically is the person that I think took care of this during the 121 release as well. So I'll Slack him and ask.
Yeah, he totally revamped how those API reference docs were made. But it's tacit knowledge. So it's, he has info for that. And for 121, we did merge in his pull requests. And I had the same issues you had as well to generate the reference docs. But Chi-Ming and Karen Bradshaw, who is linked or assigned on that pull request, and they helped me out in quite a bit. So.
Cool. And I think that's it for me. I don't have anything else.
Any questions for 122 release? All right, before we go any farther too, are there any new contributors on the line? I think I know all of your names at this point. I think we've all done introductions. So, but anyway, would anyone like to introduce themselves? All right, back to business, back to seriousness. There wasn't anything else on the agenda today. Does anybody have any other business or any other outstanding PRs or anything that they'd like to get reviewed? I see a hand from Ray.
Yeah, so this is coming from SIG Security. It's a work in progress. It's a threat model for mission controllers. And they wanted to bring up if there is a proper place to have this in the K websites, on the Kubernetes websites, or should it be a blog, or should it actually be a place in the documentation? I'll post the draft currently. Make sure that's the right draft. Okay, it's just a Google Doc, but yeah, it is coming originally from the CNCF. Tag security, then also Kubernetes SIG security as well. Yeah, so that's just a topic to bring up. It's nothing that needs to be addressed right away. We could have a conversation about it.
I mean, of course I have opinions. Who else has opinions here that's an actual professional tech writer? No? Anyone? No opinions?
I think by the looks of this, it should probably be somewhere in the docs and not just a blog post. But because I mean, I look at blogs more like it's sort of like, ephemeral. I don't know if anyone really goes back in time after 5 releases to look at this, and if this is still relevant, then it probably should be part of the docs. But
That's fun.
I would tend to agree with that as well. Historically, we don't go back and update blogs either. So this would get, if somebody were searching for this a year from now and it were out of date, it wouldn't get updated.
I would love the why, like that's sort of at the top, to be the blog post, like so more of the story of the why and why it was necessary, and then a link to the new documentation with a home for the documentation. And I know Tabitha and others are some storytellers that are really good. So that would be my take.
Yeah, I agree.
Yay. Anyone have any other business to bring to the meeting? Brad?
Yeah, I have one, and just to give you all an update from the SIG Docs localization work group that I chair. There was a request that we look at the ability to have a PR that made updates across multiple of the language repositories. Typically, we do not allow that for a variety of reasons, but the example that was brought up was, no, this is just a Netlify link, and I'm not adding in the PR any new translations that need to be reviewed. It's just I'm touching a link that needs to be updated in, say, 20 different repositories. And right now I got to do 20 different PRs. And so, could we have an exception to our current guidelines that says, hey, if you're doing an update that doesn't require any translation review because it's a minor typo thingy that occurs in all the different language repos, could you do it in one PR? And I remembered vaguely there was some reason why we do not allow those. So I'm just giving an update here, but I think I'm gonna have to follow up with our SIG Doc leadership and try and refresh our memory if it's okay to have an exception for that case or not.
Got it. And I put it in my notes. By the way, oh, goody. Oh, no, not goody. That was just the mission controllers. I'm still having an issue getting right access to our agenda. So if you're like, why isn't she taking notes? I'm actually taking notes on the side. And yes, I am a part of the Google group. So anyway, yeah, no, Jim and I are looking into that after the meeting.
Okay.
But no, I've got notes down. I will check with Jim and talk with Jim about what the why is on that and see if we can get an exception, because that does seem appropriate.
Yep. Let me try and grab you I'll put it in it's been written up as an issue. So let me get you the link.
And then while Brad's getting the link, anyone else have any other business?
Oh yeah, Chris Metz here. So I just wanted to mention that our submission for the SIG Docs deep dive was accepted. I think we have one deadline, which is tomorrow to send in the speaker acceptance. But I'll defer to Brad or Chris to comment on the next steps. I think we do need to start efforting some of the collateral or content that we want to put together for this, and come up with a loose agenda. I know that Chris had set up that Google Docs, but maybe we should have some separate meetings, or assign some AIs to start moving forward.
Absolutely. Now that it's been accepted, it's time to get serious, and we definitely want to just figure out how much time did they give us, what do we want to cover in the agenda and the deep dive, and then we'll see what we can then reuse from previous presentations and what new content we want to add. but definitely, I think we have a little private Slack channel for the group of us, right? That
Yes.
we do need to start scheduling some meetings, so that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Chris. Yep.
Well,
Excellent.
tell us about the, like, what do you think the goals should be for the deep dive?
Well, I'm thinking we want to encourage contributors. Maybe it's one of the first things we want to do. We want to give folks sort of an outline of the process of contributing to the to SIG Docs. Maybe some separate little items discussing, how to do these things for the uninitiated. Again, Brad and Chris, I'll look to you guys for maybe how we want to proceed here and some of the firming up an agenda, if you will.
Right. Yeah. So historically, what we've used this is a great opportunity to start filling the funnel for new contributors, and not just new contributors to Docs, but there's a lot of people who don't know who eventually want to move on and be a contributor to the development, to the code base, but they don't know how to get started. And, my experience and other people's experience has shown the best way to get started becoming an open source contributor is go start with the docs. So whether you want to always be, just docs only, or if you want to start with contributing to the docs and then become a contributor to the code base, it's a wonderful way to start. And so usually what we do in these things is we're going to provide enough scaffolding so that people can really understand how the Kube Docs is structured, how it works. And typically we even give opportunities to help them get their first PR. Now for the deep dive, and then we usually do that in the doc sprint rather, but for the deep dive, we'll pretty much cover everything they need to understand about our structure, how things work. Jim Angel will also talk about how we use Netlify. So usually what the takeaway is, you'll have a real good understanding for how we've structured the docs, how you become a contributor, how we do our builds, how we do our releases, and you'll feel pretty comfortable that if you want to start contributing to docs, you can do it after the deep dive.
Love it. I would love to see y'all focus too on areas that like really need it. Like, are there any areas of SIG Docs that are just like
need help? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Really need help, because then you could just focus that. I mean, obviously you can still do it in a generic way, but then we know that we'll have some targeted outreach in some of those areas.
See, now I feel like I should be sending you swag because you just made a great idea, but I don't really have any.
No, I'm also I can run some data too that says like what some repos are that haven't been touched too much in docs to see, like, I mean, obviously some of them might not be touched for like good reason. So, but if any of those are like priority, we can look at those and like talk about those.
Yep. And we can typically figure out where, this hasn't been touched in a while, and that there's new updates, and we could really use some attention. Or also, where from the different other SIGs could we get more attention as well?
Yep.
Couple of more items. Number one, who will be attending in person? I think Tim had mentioned he'll be attending remotely.
Yeah, I'll be in person.
I'll be in person.
Okay, so
I've been waiting outside for months. I'm already in LA, so I can come to
have your tent set up. Yeah.
I'm already
waiting in
there.
line. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Where is everybody?
Where's my badge?
So it looks like we'll have plenty of people there to do the deep dive, which is good. Yeah, this is great. And I love that y'all are stepping up and you want to do this deep dive. Some of the other SIGs were just like, does anyone want to do this? And it's like, so no, it's good that we have this much stuff. And I think they did change the time for the deep dive. So Brad, it's important that you check that, because I know they've changed it a few times with the combinations of the intros and the deep dives and vice versa to like 30 minutes, 90 minutes, etc. So
that makes a huge difference whether you got 30 minutes or 90 minutes. So yes.
It totally does.
Yeah, it'd be good to
Cool.
know what days too, because I don't know if I could stay the whole week. So, or actually it's just Wednesday through Friday this year, isn't it? I'm not sure. But in any case, yeah, it would be good to know what days we're supposed to be speaking to. That would be good.
Yeah. And I don't think that's on the, I don't think that's on your acceptance email either yet. So we probably won't know that for a few days.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any other business or KubeCon stuff they want to talk about?
Yeah, I just have one thing. We are going to be having our bi-weekly blog meeting. So I'm looking at the time just to make sure, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. So figure it out from there. 12:30, 1:30, 2:30. So that's like in a half hour, right? So.
Yep.
And if anybody, here's the agenda.
How's that going, Chris? Tell us give us a little TLDR as to like how that's going.
Well, I think at the moment, the biggest thing we want to look at is the release blogs, the 122 release blogs. And yeah, I can give you a link to that as well.
Those links are in the agenda as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and right now I think they have about 9 blogs, and they're rolling them out every few days starting 8/6, so in 3 days. And then so we've been trying to like review them in order. I've read through about 5 of them. So if anybody wants to jump in and review, go ahead and do that. But that's kind of what I guess the main thing we need to talk about, and then whatever else comes up as well.
How bad of an idea is it to have a public editorial calendar?
How do you mean?
I don't know. It doesn't have to be like the links to any drafts, but it's sort of just a list of things that are coming up. I don't know. Just that literally it was just something that was in my head.
Like how would anybody have known that there's a bunch of release blogs ready to go out? Yeah. It might not be a.
Do y'all put that in maybe like a do y'all have like a project board or anything like that, or any way that you're tracking that stuff?
No.
Just drop the project board link in the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Nate.
Oh, yeah, and it's at we put that in at the top of the Slack channel. I think Nate, you did that last week or two ago, so you can see what the status of things. Yeah, thanks. I forgot about that.
Awesome. And how's it going working with the upstream team that does the blogs for like the SIGs and stuff like that? Do we have good like collaboration there?
Yeah, Jesse Butler has been running that, and I know him from Amazon, so we kind of, we work together at Amazon, so I've had no trouble getting information from him. But I think, I think it's gone pretty smoothly.
Awesome. And then, does anyone else have any other business for SIG Docs? All right. Well, I think I'm going to call the meeting then.
Okay.
So the other thing before I call the meeting, I've seen some of the things that other SIGs that are doing that I think is very interesting, that I'm asking Jim and some other folks what they think too, is some other groups are doing Slack stand-ups in lieu of meetings every week. So for instance, like a group that you can look at that's very public is SIG Contrib X. They have a Slack channel that says SIG Contrib X meetings. And then every week, Bob, one of the chairs, goes in and writes like the sub-project headings for each one. And then if you're working on either one of those sub-projects, or if you're working on a general area, or if you have something that needs to be approved or something like that, it flows in. And then what he does is he collects that and then mails it to the mailing list every 24 to 48 hours. So then ideally it would be in person, and then the next week Slack, and then the next week in person, and then the next week Slack, just so that things are still flowing, but it's not necessarily Zoom fatigue for everybody. What do y'all think about that?
I like that idea. I like that just for the ability to search and look things up. I know we can do that now with Google Docs, but just that ability to like, my week's crazy, and you know, being able to kind of put things in like that would be helpful. And I think that me personally, I think that that would make me feel more included when work is, you know, can be a tire fire, or just life is wild at that point in time.
Any
Yeah.
opposing viewpoints? Oh no, I'm sorry, Chris, you go first.
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about doing this with the blog subgroup, just because there isn't really enough business for us to do every week. So we're now every 2 weeks. So maybe the ones in between, I think it was actually suggested to do that, you know, maybe just have a little Slack meet.
Awesome. And then on that same note too, we are still looking for chairs. I am the substitute for at least 3 months. And one of my responsibilities as substitute is to grow and train and mentor new chairs for this group. So if anybody here is interested, of course, reach out to me. If anybody has friends or people at work who are also like looking to get leadership skills and things within open source, this is a good opportunity for them. Let us know. Like I said, free mentoring and training and all kinds of fun stuff. So we do have some people now that have said they were interested though, so it's good news. So we do have some folks who are like, yes, let me try this out, but always looking for more. And there are also other SIGs too that are looking for chairs. So not only docs, but if you know folks who just in general are in the Kubernetes land and you think they could use a boost up, this is a great opportunity. On that note, we'll end things here. And I'll talk to Jim about some of those AIs that I have. I'll also make sure that I get the right access for this dang agenda. And we'll keep it moving. See you next week. Maybe Slack, but whatever way it is, it's going to go in the mailing list first so that we can get some consensus. So you'll see some mailing list items from me there, either me or Jim. Cool. See everybody soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Bye.
Folks.
Bye.
Yeah.